Because tapping is such an effective tool, I often get asked the question, how can I use this with my children? So we're going to cover off the different age groups, using tapping with infants through to the teenage years. And we're going to cover off a few different scenarios to help you use tapping effectively with your kids. Hi, I'm Rosanne Clay, helping you deliberately create a life you love. Full disclaimer here, I've used tapping with my clients, but I have not used it with my clients' children. So I've used tapping with children that already trust me, that already have a relationship with me. That's my own children, my friends' children, my family's children. So please be aware that you want to use this only if the child already has a bond with you. With that being said, let's dive in the infant years. Now, I don't recommend tapping on an infant. I think it's a little bit too harsh, the whole tapping on the pressure points of such a delicate baby. But if you're the parent, there is something wonderful you can do with tapping. And first is to create a really close, intimate connection with your child. So bare-chested, have your baby naked, lying on top of you, you lie back, you relax, allow the baby to feel your energy. Now, what you may not be aware of is that an infant doesn't see any separation between yourself and the child. They are one with everyone around them. So they're feeling and feeding off the energies of people around you. So if you have a lot of anxiety or stress is going on, tapping is a great way for you to calm yourself down so that your baby can actually feel more soothed and feel more relaxed and feel safer. By having the baby naked on you, you can then lie back, tap, and relax into your body and allow your baby to relax into being with you. Ages 1 through to 5. When they're this age, they're not likely to sit still. So what I like to do with my kids is just before they go to bed or just before their nap time, that's when I'll be right next to them and I'll be tapping on their tapping points. I don't expect them to do any tapping because it's really unlikely they're going to have the attention span to, 1, sit still for that long, and 2, actually hit the right point. So what do you say when you're tapping on your young child who's between this age group of 1 to 5? It's quite simple. You're saying, Mum loves you, Dad loves you, and if there are any other special people in their life, then you'll add them to the list. Big brother loves you, big sister loves you, little brother loves you, little sister loves you, grandma loves you, and so on. The main ones, of course, are the core caregivers that live in the house with the child. Those are the ones you really want to focus on so that when the child is in your home, they feel safe and they feel secure. The school age years. You might be fortunate enough by this time that you're able to train your child to do tapping on themselves. I wasn't so lucky. I still was tapping on them just before bed, just before a nap, or if they were having a serious meltdown, then I'd be tapping on them. Now, the sorts of things that I would say in this instance really depended on the circumstance. So because it's right before bed, I might think about, okay, they had a really stressful day, something upset them while they were at school, let's tap on that. And so then I'll say, I was really upset at school today. I cried. I don't like crying at school. It doesn't make me feel comfortable, but I needed to express myself and it was safe to express myself. And so you'll say whatever it is that you feel will make your child feel comforted, nurtured, safe, loved, supported. So you're really instilling all those good things. You start saying things like, but I know that Mum and Dad are here for me. I know that so-and-so, all these caregivers are there for me. I know that my teacher really wants to support me. I know that. So you're going to start imprinting affirmations into your child. But first, remember to just allow them to vent through the negativity. What starts to happen with little children, and by little I mean up to the age of 12, when you're tapping on them in this way just before bed, they're in a very relaxed state and they're more likely to open up to you as you're tapping on them. And they'll reveal things to you. And it's not a time to judge them at all or say, oh, you shouldn't have done that, like no wonder. It's more of a time to let them vent, let them just express themselves and flush out the toxins from the day and flush out whatever crap had happened to them that day. The teenage years. I've got to be honest with you, I haven't cracked this one. I don't know if my teenagers are actually using tapping or not, but what I still do every so often, if I feel that they seem to be distressed or they seem to be extra anxious, then I will pop in before bedtime and I will do some tapping on them. And I will simply say phrases that I think might click with them. And a lot of the tapping that you do with your children is going to rely heavily on parental intuition, because living with your child, you do get to see the emotions that flow through them and the kinds of behaviors and habits that they have. And a lot of it will reflect on the type of person that you are, because we are imprinting our attitudes and our behaviors and our beliefs onto our children. So you want to target things that sound familiar to yourself and the healing process you have gone through. And you also want to relate it to whatever is actually happening in their life. So, I know it's exam time and I'm feeling a bit anxious and I haven't really studied that well, and, or maybe I've over prepared and now I just haven't had sleep and so I'm really, agitated. Whatever it is that you think is going on for them, like I said, follow your intuition and just tap along, and just 2 or 3 rounds is enough, because they'll probably get annoyed and kick you out of their room. Okay, how to handle specific scenarios. Now, if your child is having a meltdown, when you go to scoop up your child and lift them, one of the great tapping points you can do with your other hand is actually put it under their armpit and start tapping on the side of them. They won't really notice it because they're so busy in their body. But what it does do is it helps to relax them and calm them down. I mean, whatever tapping point you can start tapping on while they're having their meltdown is great. I mean, if they're just lying on the floor and flailing about, even tapping on their collarbone point is going to help them out. So you don't be worried about having to move through all the points and getting to all the points. Anxiety. So if your little one is feeling very scared about doing something, let's say they don't want to get into the water for their swimming lesson, or they don't want to be left alone at kindy, you can sit with them, and this really is about taking the time to be with your child and not feeling like, oh, but I've actually got to rush off and do stuff. Just remember that your children are the most important thing, and everything else can be put on hold unless it really is an emergency. So just sitting with your child and have them on your lap, and then while they're in the stress state, you're just tapping on them. They're already feeling the fear. So they're in tune with what's happening. You want them to get present to what's happening. So all the stuff that's happening in your body, what's happening in your body? Are you really scared? Well, do you know that it's safe and that I'm going to be here with you? Do you know that your teacher's going to be here with you? Do you know that your teacher is going to make sure that you're safe? Do you know that you're well supported? Do you know how much I love you? Some people have asked me, can I use tapping for my children while they're sleeping, like fast asleep? I'm not really sure. I've used it myself and I say the phrases out loud so that they can hear me. I'm hoping that their, subconscious mind is listening while I'm tapping for them. I've seen the results, like I've seen it still works, but it is one of those things that's still in the experimental phase. Like tapping is a very new technology that we're all still learning. So have a play with it. Again, I'm going to say, trust your intuition on this one. You know what's right for your child and just follow that. One thing I will say though that I do while they're sleeping is when they're sick and like they've got some kind of congestion and I don't want them to have to wake up to have some water and I just want their congestion to clear, then I don't actually say anything and I just start tapping on them gently. And I just keep tapping 2 or 3 rounds until their congestion starts to clear and they're able to breathe. So these are my tips on how I've used tapping with children. Please share in the comments below if you've used tapping with your children. What have you learned? What have you experimented with? What worked? What didn't work? I really want to know. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you found value in it. And if you did, please hit the like button. Bye for now.